Welcome back to another episode of the Bradley University podcast. I am one of your hosts, Angie Cooksey. I serve as the Vice President for Enrollment Management, Marketing, and Communications.
And I am AVP of Marketing and Communications, Ben Jed.
Ben, we have been doing this for, how many episodes are we in now?
I have no idea.
We're in season 2.
We're in season 2.
I know that much.
And I think we're on episode, if like things are going in order, like 5 of season 2, right?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty close.
Maybe 6.
5 or 6.
Yeah.
What so far has been your favorite part about doing these shows?
I honestly, like, as simple as it sounds, it's just getting to know other people on campus and hearing their stories.
Yeah.
Like it's amazing to hear faculty research or different student experience, and just the passion people have for their jobs is awesome.
I totally agree.
What do you like about it?
One, that we get to show people this space on campus, which I know sounds like a little self-promotional, but there's so many places around Bradley's campus that people just don't know about because...
It's not your space, though. It's not like self-promotional.
No, like this, but like this shows, you know.
I get you. Anyways.
But like that we get, every time we have somebody down here in Hilltop Studios that they're like, oh, I just didn't even know this existed.
Absolutely.
And I think that's such a kind of cool testament, weirdly, to all of the opportunities that are available at Bradley of like, oh my gosh, you just like, if you just ask and you'll find out that we have a space like this, or we have, you know, a wind tunnel, or we have drop
people
tower.
Like Bill, who is our producer,
Absolutely,
who will actually like help put this together. So it's not just you and me sitting in one of our offices with some kind of garbage mics trying to figure it out on our own.
That may have been how we started to try to do
Correct.
this, and Bill helped us make it way better.
Yeah.
So, and going back to what you said about it being about interviewing the awesome people on campus, that's the whole point of the show, is to highlight people that are doing really great work, that are really just amazing. And today we have Corey Craig, who is joining us, who is the Director of Admission Experiences here at Bradley's campus. Welcome, Corey.
Yeah, congratulations on getting picked up in your second season.
Thank you.
It's good that we are the ones that can put it on the website, so we have a little control over it.
We know the guy.
Got your writer's back.
Yep,
oh, good.
So what we do on the show to start out is give people a little bit of space to talk about who they are, what their journey to the seat that they've sat in today, and also to explain sometimes their titles, because we have a lot of titles on our campus that have a lot of words sometimes. Mm-hmm. And your title is one that we have gone...
We kind of made it up.
We did make it up.
It's fine.
So what is the Director of Admission Experiences, and what has your journey been to that seat today?
Ooh, okay. Okay, so this is starting year 29 for me. I came to Bradley in 1996 and started over in Swords Hall and was a loan coordinator over there. So back in the day, we had a lot of paper. There was not a lot of computers. So a lot of promissory note signing, all of that kind of stuff. Helped do that for a while. And then, like many things at Bradley, somebody moved on and then you moved up. And I moved into the role of the accounts receivable manager, so which is a fancy title for the person that brings in all the tuition money. So very quickly, and I did that for 10 years over in Swords Hall, but very quickly I realized I was a non-accountant living in an accounting world, and I had all kinds of color in my life, and everything over there was black and white. So sometimes I didn't fit in. Imagine that. The great former Dave Pardick, Director of Financial Aid, who was here for, 40 years, he finally sat me down. He's like, kid, you're in the wrong business. He's like, you're good at your job. He's like, but you need to go over to the other side of the world in admissions. And so I snuck over to admissions on my lunch break and interviewed over there. And before I even got back to my office in Swords, they had already called and hired me. So I'm like, all right, well, maybe this is what I should be doing. And so I started in admissions. I started becoming a transfer counselor, did that just for maybe not even 6 months. And then again, something opened up and I kind of fell into that role. And I took over being in charge of all of our tour guides on campus, and really have elevated everything that we try to do, which is why I worry about the experience of our visitors. So being the Director of Admission Visit Experience is very important to me, because I want people to come to this campus and feel like, oh, I haven't seen that before. I haven't heard that before. Oh my gosh, the tour guides are so great. They do this, they do that. I want them to walk away knowing that we are different than everybody else. And that's been a great joy. So now 19 years in admissions, that's ooh, that's a lot. So 29 total, but here we are.
Here we are.
And in 2010, you and Angie started a band together. Can you talk about that a little bit?
What?
Ben likes to
We've
lie
done
to
a
people.
lot of
We
things
have done a lot
together.
of things together.
But I don't think a band.
I mean, no, we have not done that.
You had to think about it?
No, well,
I mean, our kids could start a band. She has great, musicians, and I have great singers.
That was actually what I was going to transition this to.
Okay.
Before.
Ben just likes to lie to people about my abilities to do
We could be
things.
momagers.
Yeah. I would like to know. So we'll ask you more questions about working at Bradley, but you're also a Bradley parent.
Yeah.
And can you talk about that experience and your kids' experience and your experience as a Bradley mom?
Yeah. I am the only one in my family that's not going to graduate from Bradley. My husband graduated from here. Our oldest, our one, is here now. And then we've got a senior in high school who is going to be coming here next year. So, yeah, it was so fun for me. Like, I've always understood, like, as a parent, when you talk to people on tours and they're making that decision, how huge it is. But when your own child comes, then it kind of elevates it to a whole nother level. And again, and I will just tell you about our oldest child. She came to Bradley kicking and screaming because she did not want to come to Bradley because apparently to her, I am not cool, as everybody thinks I am. And so we went on a lot of college visits and we toured almost 20 different campuses because we were going to use our great benefit and see if she could go to another school for free because she was like, I'm not going to Bradley. I'm not going to Bradley. And so on all of these visits that we went on, which was joyful for me because I got to see all of our competitors doing their stuff, trying to woo us. And at the end of it, we got back in the car and I'm like, girl, like, what are we doing? Like, this is crazy. We just keep looking and looking and looking. And she sat and she kind of like put her head back and she's like, ugh, I hate that I love Bradley so much. And I'm like, that could be our next tagline in marketing. You're going to hate that you love us, but here we are. So yeah, you don't think that's good? So she came in. She also was a child who's like, I am absolutely never joining a sorority because you were in one and it sounds awful. And then she became like the vice president of her sorority and ran recruitment. So everything that I've told her to do has happened, and it's really irritating to her that I was right. So, but that has been really fun for me to watch her go through it. She was also the child that was here during COVID. So that was a new level of everything that we've never experienced.
I would like to never experience any of that.
Yeah,
again.
I would like a pass on anything coming
Global
up.
pandemic.
Yeah, I don't want another one. But it did force us to make a lot of funky decisions and admissions and see the world differently. And I mean, there was a lot of joy that came out of what we ended up having to do. But yeah, having kids that go through that is tough. Now that my other daughter is here, she's a junior at Bradley. All our oldest daughter says is, I never got to do that because of COVID. I can't believe you're going on study abroad. All my study abroads were canceled. So now there's like this whole dynamic in my house who's like bitter older sister and the middle child getting to do all the fun stuff. And I'm like, that's just going to be your entire life.
Marsha.
Yes, it is a lot like that.
But also, like, to give Carly some shout out, like, she also just landed like her dream job.
Yeah.
Like within
Shout
5
out
years.
to our English department.
Yeah.
Lee Newton. Yeah. She was a kid in high school. And when she went to high school, she was kind of unsure of what she wanted to do. She liked a lot of majors and she just wasn't sure. And there's all this pressure on kids in high school to have something like, everybody's like, oh, I'm going to be a nurse or I'm going to be an engineer. And those are things that you go to school for and then you do that job. And she wanted to go to school and then get a job in something and she wasn't sure. And those kids kind of struggle in high school because they don't know their identity yet. But when she came to Bradley, I said, throw out everything you know. Let's come in undecided. And she's like, I kind of know what I want. I said, but undecided is going to help you kind of figure out what you're good at. So she did the AEP program, the Academic Exploration Program, and did that for a year and knew right away what she liked and what she didn't like. Anything to do with science, out. Anything to do with communications, in. And she gets that from her mom. And so Anyway, she became a public relations major. She loved to write. She's a really good author. And so she picked up English and creative writing. And then she also knew she wanted to be her own boss someday. So she picked up entrepreneurship. So this kid had 3 different majors in 3 different colleges. And that to me is like the essence of a Bradley kid. You to do multiple different things. But in English and creative writing, she kept saying, she wants to get into publishing. I don't know anything about publishing. And I didn't know anybody that knew anything about publishing. So Lee Newton said, hey, there's a program at NYU after graduation she should apply for. She goes to New York. She'll live in Manhattan in the apartments there and go for like 6 weeks. And at the end of this 6-week kind of exploratory thing in publishing, it ends in a job fair. And, she can probably get a job. So her dad is like, check, I'm in. I heard get a job. And also all of her study abroads were canceled. She was going to do a chorale trip and stuff. So I'm like, okay, New York is like a study abroad. Let's have her go there. And also I thought to myself, this will be great because she'll go to New York and then she'll hate it and not want to live there. And that completely backfired on me. Not so well, not well at all. So she ended the stuff at NYU. She ended up getting a job in Ann Arbor, which was really like a nice place to land after Bradley. And she lived in Ann Arbor for 2.5 years and was doing stuff up there. And then finally she's like, New York has always been in the back of her head. Like that's been her dream. So I think a month ago, we put her on a plane to New York. She got a job at Bloomsbury Press out there publishing, which is the big publishing company that does the Harry Potter books in the United States. And Sarah J. Maas is one of their big authors. And so after 5 interviews, she finally got this job. And so she's loving it. She's got a job in Midtown Manhattan. She's living in Brooklyn in a brownstone. Like she's just figuring it all out. Yeah. I'm like, this is so fun. But honestly, she's been winning a lot of the Broadway lottery tickets. If you don't know, you can put your name in every day and win tickets to Broadway shows for really, really cheap. She's won 4 times and she's only been there a month. I'm like, could you maybe put your name in the actual Illinois lottery? And it's like a 1.2 billion right now. I'm like, that would be a great lottery to win. But she does go to her job. So it all worked out. But yeah, it was kind of a crazy path to get there. But the people at Bradley kind of helped navigate that whole thing and helped her be successful. And that's why I love this place.
Yeah.
I just asked the question.
Oh, did you ask a question? I
We'll
get lost in our... It's
fine.
fine. We won't cut it out. It's fine. We just let everybody hear all of our chaos.
This is to let everybody know this is a real podcast.
This is a real podcast. We
not scripted.
We just wing it every time. Well, I kind of want to talk a little bit about the mom experience, but from a different lens. And you mentioned our stars, which are our tour guides.
Yeah.
And in a lot of ways, you serve as sort of their Bradley mom for so many of them, probably for hundreds of students over the years.
Yeah.
I think you've been to more Bradley weddings than anybody that I know.
A lot of Bradley star babies.
A lot of Bradley babies. What has that role in your professional experience looked like?
Yeah, it's been everything. It is so fun. Like I always say, like 18-year-olds are kind of the perfect age because they have that 1 foot in adulthood and 1 foot in childhood. And they make dumb mistakes, but they also make very adult decisions. And that's like my favorite age to mentor because you can still mess up in college and do dumb stuff, but also you're learning the whole time. So I never knew I never wanted to be a teacher, but I'm kind of like that here. I mean, it is nice. We usually have about 60, 70 kids that work in our STARS program, our student admission representatives who are known as our tour guides. And each of them comes in from different parts of the world, the earth, everything. And they've had all these different experiences. And what I start teaching them, we do about 6 weeks of training with our STARS before they ever give a tour, is really kind of an internship in relationships. And I want them to not be afraid to pick up a phone and call somebody. I want that, which this generation struggles with.
We have to teach them how to use the phone.
Literally have to teach how to use the phone, which is a weird thing. But I'm like, you don't have any idea how successful you'll be if you can do that one tiny skill, because so many of your friends can't do it. Like, are you the guy that calls and orders the pizza? Do they make you do it? Yes. But those kind of skills, like how to really understand people, how to be accommodating, how to make people feel special. I always say that being a tour guide is about making people feel comfortable. So once they've learned all those things through like our weird ways of teaching and all the stuff that we do, they'll come back. They'll call me and they'll be like, I took a lot of classes at Bradley. But one of my students just called, it was probably about 6 months ago, and he has a 6-figure job in Nashville. And he's like, he goes, I would quit my job tomorrow if I could come back and give tours. I'm like, don't do that.
Don't do that.
That's good advice. Don't do that. But he loved the fact that you could like spend an hour with a family walking around a place that you love and kind of make that connection, that human connection that I think everybody's kind of searching for right now. And his job that he has is very sterile, and it makes a lot of money, but there's not a lot of human component to it. So it made me tear up when he called and told me all of that, because I was like, what a dumb like part-time job that you have in college. This is like you're walking backwards and you're giving tours and it's whatever. And for him to have that much impact, I mean, that was really cool. So, you're like striking a nerve with these kids. Maybe they don't see it every day, but you will get through to them and help them understand that this kind of silly little job is going to make you tenfold better after Bradley.
That's so sweet.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome, the impact you have on so many students at Bradley. What's something so a lot of people on this campus know you. What's something?
She's become the person that people call when they need something. Like Corey Craig will know. Just call Corey.
I literally called Corey today to ask her how I hire students.
I'll take you one better. You called the switchboard.
Yeah. Well, that's because that is the
you
number.
Didn't know my number.
Yeah, for sure. That's the number on your email signature. Yeah. So, and even better, our administrative assistant said to call you to ask how to do it. So,
yeah. I know when I first started here, I was in my early 20s and I was like, I didn't know anybody, but I always knew who knew what to, how to get things done. And now I'm that person. I didn't want to be that person.
You actually have to give out the switchboard number as your number because too many people are calling you.
I remember like when this happened. It was probably like, I don't know, maybe 9 or 10 years ago, but I was in your office and somebody called and it was just one of those random things. And you hung up the phone and you were like, when did I become the person that people call
that knows stuff?
Oh
God, I know. Institutional knowledge is a real thing. Like, if you're here long enough, you're going to understand like timing and when things happen and why they happen and what how it all goes together. So, and when you have new people that come in, you have to teach them all of those things.
Oh yeah. As a new person, 100%. Like, and I am like absorbing as much as I can. So my question is, what is something people don't know about you?
Oh, man. So open book. I don't know. I feel like my stars would probably say, we know too much about her.
Actually, could she stop sharing?
Could she stop being so much in our personal lives? That would be great. I don't know. I mean, I think the weirdest thing about me is a couple things. Number one, I grew up on a farm. And I was the least farming person ever. My whole family.
Not just any farm, though.
A hog farm.
She grew up on a pig farm.
On a hog farm, yes. Yeah. And I know nothing about farming, like literally nothing. But I know enough to stay in a conversation. And that's all it takes. But I don't know anything about it. Like they might have an older brother and they always asked him to go outside. And I stayed inside. So that's probably a big thing. And then my other big thing that's really wonky and weird, I went to Augustana College for my 4 years and went there. I was a first gen. My parents are hog farmers. My mom's a beautician, and they send this kid to this liberal arts school. And I called them and, we didn't know what major I wanted to be. I had no idea what majors were. I was just really in over my head. And what they had an undecided program. So they put me in a gym and I had a table with a bunch of books on it. And they're like, look through these books and spark a major. And I'm like, crying, like looking around going, why is this how you do it? And so I wrote a paper my senior year about businesses in Japan. Next thing you know, I am an Asian studies major.
Awesome.
what? My poor parents are like, is that a thing? Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Like, I'm just a girl from a hog farm who's studying Asian studies, but I was in Japanese language classes. I then studied abroad.
Was that your degree, actually?
I was communications, psychology, and Asian studies.
Okay.
All these things kind of help you become a person in admissions. Jeez. So yeah, I could have probably used a little bit of mentorship along the way, but I studied abroad in Japan. I was over there for Japan, China, Hong Kong, and what's the other one? Oh my gosh.
Taiwan.
Yes, thank you. Like she was there. No,
We do share a brain sometimes, so
we do finish each other's sandwiches all the time. But being over
Sandwiches?
that's
that's how do you have daughters? Do you not have? No,
it's totally a Frozen reference.
Frozen.
Nothing there for you.
I mean, I've seen Frozen. Like,
Well, then you haven't really seen it.
I guess. I mean, I understand. Like, I get you now.
You were looking at your phone while you were watching it.
I mean, I see it's on in the background like for so long that like.
Yeah. But being over there was wackadoodle, especially being in China. It was 1992. We're in China. We followed the path of Mao Zedong. I'm like staying in caves. Like it was bananas. And then they dropped us off in Hawaii for a couple days, I think, to put a little color on our face because we all lost like 40 pounds because all we ate was rice. But that was like one of those aha moments where you're like, oh, I can do hard things. Like this is good, and it kind of really helps you open your mind to stuff. But yeah, so I think those are the two weird things about me, the farming and the Asian studies,
I actually
Konnichiwa.
thought perfect. I thought when Angie said that, I thought she said you lived on a hawk farm. And I was like, what's a hawk farm?
No.
Yeah, I mean, I caught on to the whole
Yes.
thing, but I was just thinking like hundreds of birds.
Yeah. Not that exciting.
Yeah.
One of the things that has been really probably one of the coolest parts of the work that I've gotten to do with you over the years is that we get to experiment and play and create.
Yeah.
What of the projects that you've done over the years, what's been one of those things that you look back on and are like, dang, we did that?
Yeah, it had to be during COVID.
Oh, we did some stuff.
We did some stuff during COVID. So nobody was visiting any colleges because, 6 feet apart, whatever, and all of that kind of stuff. And we still had to bring in a class. Like, how do you get people to come to your school when you can't get them to your campus? So we started doing curbside visits where we had our tour guides come out to the car, like with a little tray, because we didn't touch anything. And they had their folder and a bottle of water and stuff. And then we walked 6 feet apart and did all that. And we're like, okay, we can do this better. And then we saw out in New York in Central Park, they had these little circles that were drawn and they were 6 feet apart from another circle. And then you, Angie, and I started kind of like, could we do this? We could do this. Could we have them? Yeah. I think those will work. So we had our lovely grounds people who I think they think we're insane.
But they're the best.
They are literally the best people on this planet. Draw squares out in front of Hayden Clark Alumni Center. And these squares were 6 feet apart. And we put 2 red chairs in each square and sanitized everything and had this visit day where people faced Hayden Clark Alumni Center. And we had to do it as the sun was going down because we had screens. And it was magical. Mm-hmm. It was literally magical. It was life-changing for so many people. They were like, oh my God, you're the only school that's open, that's allowing people to visit and in a healthy way. And we just tried to do everything by the book. And that was, to me, was kind of really, really fun.
Yeah.
And
I look back at some of the things, like it was just, we were just trying things.
We were, because we didn't know what would work and everything was a fever dream. So we were like, oh, I don't know.
2 a.m. text message.
Yeah.
Well, as we wrap up the show, one of the questions that we ask every single person is, what are you unapologetically exceptional at?
Well, God, that's so hard. You don't want to brag on yourself, but I'm pretty good at planning a party. So, yeah, I mean,
balloon arch.
Yeah.
Really
no,
good,
I think
really good.
Angie's probably better at balloons, but just these are skills that everybody must have when you're in admissions. I mean, the fact that I think also good at just bringing people together. Like we can have a visit day, and it doesn't matter if it's first gen kids, if it's kids from the Chicago suburbs, if it's kids from out of state, and instantly I want them to feel like they belong here. And the stuff that we do and the way that we act and all of the stuff, the weird stuff we do, like, you know, if you come to one of our visit days, you'll park in the deck and then our stars will literally attack you and then walk you
Not
to...
in a weird way.
Not in a weird way, in a lovely way.
Not literally. They will not literally attack you.
Would be very different. And then walk you to exactly where you want to be. Because I know from visiting all these colleges are huge. And you park and then you're like, where do we go? Every building looks alike. I don't know. And to have that human there that's there to greet you is like a game changer for people. And we just learn that along the way. Like, we are very hand holding the whole time and make sure that everybody feels comfortable. And I think we're really good at that. Yeah.
Corey Craig, thank you so much for joining us today. This has been very enjoyable.
Thank you, Ben Jed.
No problem, Corey Craig.
Wraps up another episode of the Bradley University podcast. It is hands down one of my favorite things to do when we get a chance to record, because we get to meet people like Corey and hear a little bit more about what Bradley is from the seat that they sit in. So thanks everybody for joining us. Until next time.
Bye-bye.